Hello, I'm Mr. Howard. This is a review of Unit 7 for my pre-calculus students. So this is straight out of your I'm going to work all of the problems in your Unit 7 reviews to get you ready for the Unit 7 test. Okay, so question 1 here. Sketch the parabola y equals negative f of x minus 7 plus the quantity x minus 7 plus 2, where the original parent function is f of x equals x squared. So this is just the function notation here. Label the vertex, roots, y-intercept, and axis of symmetry. So our equation, if we're talking about x squared being f of x, the original f of x, these are just transformations. So that negative is flipping it over the x-axis. This is moving it right 7 and up 2. Okay, so this is actually going to be in vertex form when we're done. So it would be y equals negative parentheses x minus 7 quantity squared plus 2. Okay, so now we just need to find all of these things. So it says label the vertex. Alright, so vertex, this is vertex form, remember, when you have a quantity squared and then a number out here. Your vertex is then your x coordinate of your vertex is the opposite sign of this right here, so it's going to be positive 7, and it's going to be the same sign as this for your y coordinate, so it's going to be 7 comma positive 2. So your vertex comes directly from the vertex form. You need to memorize, make sure you have memorized what these forms look like. Alright, so the roots, if we want to find the roots, we just set this thing right here equal to 0. So I'm going to do that. I'll just do that right here. So 0 equals negative x minus 7 squared plus 2. So we just subtract 2 from both sides and we get negative 2 equals negative x minus 7 all squared. So we'll divide by negative 1 just to get rid of this negative. So divide by negative 1, and now we got negative 2 divided by, now we have negative 2 divided by negative 1 is positive 2 equals the quantity x minus 7 all squared. So now we take the square root of both sides, and we get, remember we have to do plus or minus when we do that. So plus or minus square root of 2 is now equal to x minus 7. So we add 7 to both sides and we get, add 7 out here, and finally we get 7 plus or minus square root of 2. So our roots, we have one root that is 7 plus square root of 2 and another root that is 7 minus square root of 2. Okay, so there are our roots. Our y-intercept occurs when x is 0, so we're just going to sub in a 0 right here. So I'm going to do that over here. So let me go back here for you and underline that in orange. That's where we did the work for the roots. Okay, so y-intercept will be in pink here. So it's going to be, the y-intercept occurs when x is 0, so it's going to be negative. I'm just substituting in a 0 right here. So for x, 0 minus 7 squared plus 2. So negative 7, 0 minus 7 is negative 7. Negative 7 squared is negative 7 times negative 7. So that's 49. So it's negative, and then this part becomes 49. Negative 49 plus 2, which equals negative 49 plus 2 is negative 47. So my y-intercept over here is negative 47. You could write it 0 comma negative 47. That would be fine. The axis of symmetry is easy. That part's already done because we found the vertex already, and the vertex x coordinate is our axis of symmetry. So our axis of symmetry, AOS, is x equals 7. So the vertical line, x equals 7. We know that this thing, it's negative right here. We have a negative 1 out in front, so that's flipping it over the x-axis, so it's going to be facing down. So let's bring our calculator up quickly and actually get some decimal values for these two so we can really see where that's at. So let's get out of this. Okay, so we had 7 plus square root of 2 is that. So I'm just going to bring that over here so it's easier to see. Well, actually, hold on. Let's do this one too. Bring that down, and now minus. So enter. So there's our two roots. So I'm going to bring this over so I don't have to memorize all that. And put that right over here. So now when we were asked to sketch it, so let's draw in an axis here. So we actually have two positive roots, so we'll put our vertex in. Our vertex was 7, 2, so we'll call that right here 7, 2. And we have one root right here. We're going to call that 5.59, just to round it to 5.59 right here. And we have another root equidistant from the vertex right there at 8 point, we'll call that 8.41 for that x value. We have a y-intercept way down here at, this isn't to scale, but we'll make that -47 down here. And now we can just sketch this thing in like that. Alright, so that part's done. Alright, let's move on to question 2. One thing, forgot the axis of symmetry. Let's put that in real quick. So axis of symmetry is right down the middle, and that is x equals 7, right? X equals 7. Okay, now we have everything labeled. We were supposed to label all of that stuff, so now it's done. Alright, here we have question 2. So they give us a standard form parabola and they ask us to sketch it and label the vertex and axis of symmetry. Alright, well, we really need to, we're going to have to actually, we can find a little bit more than that. We need to really find the roots in order to actually graph this thing to make it look perfect at least. So, we're going to find more than that. But anyway, let's look at, and in case you're asked on the test to find all of it, that's what I'm going to do here. Remember, I'm going through this fairly quickly, so you may want to watch certain parts over again or rewatch the whole question again. And I'm going to split this up into multiple videos so you can focus on what you need. So anyway, we have a standard form parabola here. Standard form, remember, is ax squared plus bx plus c. So we need to, when they give a standard form, just make this a habit. You're going to label your a value. Remember, you have to do this algebraically. You can use your calculator to crunch numbers, but you've got to show me the work. A calculator generated question will get you at maximum half credit. Alright, so a equals 4 in our case. Our b value equals -2. And our c value in our case is -1. The c value right away gives us our y-intercept. So I'm going to start writing this stuff over here. So y-intercept equals -1. We've already identified that. Our vertex, to find our vertex, in this case we're going to use the fact that the x-coordinate of our vertex is -b over 2a. So in our case, our b value is -2, so negative of -2 is +2, over 2 times our a value. 2 times 4 is 8, which reduces to 1/4. So our vertex is 1/4 comma something, so we have to find that something. So we're going to plug in 1/4 or 0.25 here in this equation. So 4 times 0.25 squared minus, I'm just plugging in 0.25 everywhere I have an x, so it's easier to work with, minus 2 times 0.25 minus 1. Okay, I'm going to let my calculator crunch the numbers here, and that's perfectly okay, but I want to see you doing this on the test. So it's 4 parentheses 0.25 squared minus 2 0.25 minus 1. Okay, so math, enter, make it a fraction, it's better. -5/4. So -5/4. Alright, so we know that this thing is opening up, so we can start our sketch down here in the corner here. So we have 1/4 -1.25, so -5/4 is the same thing as -1.25. So here's our vertex. 1/4 comma -5/4. So that part's labeled. We know we have a y-intercept of -1 right here. We can label that. The axis of symmetry we know is the x-coordinate of our vertex here, so that's x equals 1/4, the x-coordinate of our vertex. Alright, so let's say you were asked to find the roots. Well, you need to use the quadratic formula to do that. The quadratic formula, which you need to put on your card, your note card if you don't have it memorized. Negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. If you can't factor this, and trying to factor this, you could use the box method, but it would be a pain, and I'm honestly at this point not sure if it would even factor just looking at it. So let's fill this in. So one root is going to be negative of negative 2, so 2 plus or minus the square root of b squared, so that'd be negative 2 times negative 2, that's 4, minus 4 times a, which is 4, times c, which is negative 1, all over 2a, so 2 times a, 2 times 4 is 8. Okay, so that equals 2 plus or minus the square root. Let's do this in here. So that's going to be 4. Negative 4 times 4 is negative 16. Negative 16 times negative 1 is plus 16. All over 8 here. So that's going to be square root of 20. So it's 2. I'm not going to mess with this any more than this. 2 plus or minus square root of 20 over 8. We could actually work that out a little more, but I'm just going to leave it this way, like this. Okay, 2 plus or minus square root of 20 over 8. So those are your two roots. Anyway, from the picture we can tell that, you know, it's going to cross somewhere like right here and somewhere like right here. So if we graph that thing in, it looks like this. And on the test, you're really not going to have one that's that difficult. We could put it in our calculator real quick and see what that is. So parentheses 2 plus second square root of 20 divided by 8 is 0.8. So that would be, we're at 0.25 is our axis of symmetry, so we're a little bit to the right of that, so that makes sense. And now we can copy this up here and make this thing minus, and that's going to be negative 0.3. And we had a y-intercept negative 1 here, so we're a little left of the y-axis, so at negative 0.3. That makes sense. We can check it real quick in our calculator. So 4, and I don't mind if you check on the calculator. You can check with that. You just have to do the work algebraically also. So if we graph this, graph is out of whack, so let's zoom 6. Let's just find one of the roots. If we find one, we know the other one's going to be right. So we'll graph y equals 0 real quick. Second calc, find the intersection, option 5. This is why it didn't ask you to label the roots, because they're a pain. So let's get over here close to this one, and that one's 0.809. And I believe that's what we found before. Yeah, 0.809. Alright, so that one's done. Kind of a pain to find the roots here, which is probably why I didn't ask you to do it. Alright, but you know how to do it in case it does. Alright, next question. Alright, here we have question 3. This will be the last one in this part 1 of the video, and then we'll do the others later in part 2 and beyond. Alright, sketch the parabola y equals 6 times the quantity x minus 6 squared plus 4, labeling both the vertex and axis of symmetry. Okay, so this is the vertex form, the way this looks. So our vertex, they already asked us to label that, so let's just find it. It's given to us. That's why it's called vertex form. So our vertex is, the x-coordinate is the opposite of this sign, so it's positive 6. And the y-coordinate of the vertex is this same thing with the sign that it has. You don't change the sign of the y. So it's 6, 4. Okay, so that's one thing. It opens up. Okay, so that's already telling us one thing. That's already kind of showing us what this thing's going to look like. So 6 comma 4, let's just put that right here, 6 comma 4. Alright, so we've got a vertex in quadrant 1 over here. So it's got a positive x and a positive y. It opens upward because the squared term, the a value here, right here, in front of the quantity squared here is positive, so it's going to open up. So it's going to look something like this. We aren't asked to find the y-intercept, so I'm not going to spend time doing it. So our axis of symmetry, we already know, is x equals the x-coordinate of the vertex, so that's x equals 6. So this is actually answering the question. Now we need to comment on the roots. Well, does it have real roots? No, because it's not crossing the x-axis, right? It's impossible. It's going up forever this way, and the vertex, it opens upward, and the vertex is above the x-axis. So to comment on the roots, it has non-real roots. Okay, we could find the roots using imaginary numbers, but we're not asked to do that, so we're not going to. So non-real roots, and we have the vertex labeled like it asked us, and we have the axis of symmetry labeled like it asked us to. All right, so that'll do it for part 1, and I'll do the others starting in part 2. See you in the next video.